Evening, fellow hellscape denizens. How's things? That doesn't sound great, but I'm glad you're here. I am genuinely. I'm glad you're surviving. So it really counts. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be grim. It's a pretty bleak time though, isn't it? That's not what this video is about, don't worry. I've got to talk about something again. Well, I don't have to, but I've chosen to. I feel like my head's going to explode if I don't. I promise, as ever, this isn't going to be political because I hate all that crap, and it's not going to be like, I don't know, irritating in some other way. Also, I take no credit for these wise thoughts if they come across as wise. They probably won't. We're probably failing already, damn it. But sometimes I think my brain's split into two halves. There's one like genius autist part, which does all this noticing and never shuts the fuck up. And then there's the other part, which is me, which kind of bastardizes it all into trash. And that's what you see. Sorry if I'm scruffy, by the way, but I think the world needs more of it. Anyway, this is going to be a combination of the stuff my brain notices as mangled by my meanness. A real vote of confidence there, huh? I want to talk about something I call the scales of humanity. Like those kind of scales where it's like two things, right? Not the scales you weigh yourself on. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that or haven't done that recently. I swear I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I've probably succeeded because, well, we're going to talk about that stuff. So what's this scales thingy? Well, it's a big concept that I think. It might not be a big concept. It's a thing that affects us regardless. And I don't actually care if you believe in it, and it doesn't matter about politics. F that word. There's like an undercurrent in life. Bear with me. I'll make it understandable to the best of my ability, at least. Everything in our life, especially with humans, nature's a bit more iffy, kind of does its own damn thing. We do that, but it's less natural. I guess it's a bit like that butterfly effect thing, but everything we do has a counter thingamabobbery, right? It has an effect and blah blah, cause and effect, and I'm not getting into that stuff. But the one thing I want to explain is everything we do, all the bad things we do, eventually push to a good change. All the good things we do, no, they don't change to bad change. All the things we overdo change to a balance, which balances it out. So things eventually, if they're one extreme, they go down towards the middle. If they're really down, they go up, because people want things to be better, and they don't want things to be worse. But if things get too much one way, they start to become a problem. Does that make sense? The world, it revolves around a healthy, sensible middle where everyone keeps their house in order. And us humans, in fact, we don't do that like at all. They used to have to do it a lot more because, well, things were more fundamental. It was like, oh crap, a bear, not my livestock and my family. Hell, I can't even use that as an example anymore because the feminists will be like, thank goodness it's a bear and not a man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've got so far from reality that people, they just don't know. They don't understand that there's these rules that work regardless of how we feel about it. There's a fundamental reality. I realize I'm using a lot of big words here, but you know, I'll recover later. You try to get through with me, okay? Sorry, that came across as a little insulting, but I only meant it towards me, I swear. It means, though, that everything taken to the extremes, or when we get extremely lazy or indifferent about things, that doesn't change the way things fundamentally are. We're on this kind of like joy bender after the wars, where everything's like, it's just recovering, you know, an ever upwards thing, but one of the accidental problems of it is we didn't need to be safe and sensible, so all of our societies become really indifferent and sloppy. And I'm not going to like hold myself back here, but in a really sense, and like a simple and blunt sense, we've become like, I guess the best way to put it is grossly over liberal. I don't mean that as an insult. I just mean we're so easygoing about things, and we're so indifferent that we've forgotten the fundamental survival things that the world needed, and people used to have to remember. And people will be like, oh no, it's not, I disagree. And it's like, I don't really care. I'm not telling you what I think. This is my opinion. I'm just saying this is kind of the way it is. You know, and the reason I'm saying that is because, well, with the scales thing, right, it's going to balance out regardless of how you feel. It is. You fucking watch and you'll see. It's always the same in the world. If you want things, if you believe in things, try to get them to a healthy level, a healthy middle ground. If you take them to any extreme, one way or another, they will be pushed back to that help. Again, watch and see. Anything out there, it will be pushed back. If you can't keep perspective on things, you know, you lose sight of reality and push miles on, it'll go to the other extreme. It's always the way. Nature does that, but it's kind of more wild and indifferent. It's like too much rain, I guess we're flooding. Too little rain, I guess we're drought. And then it doesn't really spin back. It eventually evens out again. But our silly little manscape, I don't think that's the correct use of manscape, it's about the same, you know? I feel like we're just surrounded by this, and I feel like in the world, I'm not trying to be like negative. It's kind of like a natural force that it levels out, and you could see that whatever way you want, and you could take it whatever way you want. But it's quite empowering to realize, because it means you can read what's either going to happen or how to protect the things you care about. If things are neglected, eventually someone will be so pissed off with the neglect, they'll come along and fix it. If things are overdone, eventually people will be so pissed off with the overdone that they'll become all like puritanical and just ban it completely, you know, like, oh, the noisy children. Eventually, you know, everything has to have some level of accountability and stability and consideration for each other, which I think really hints at the underlying problem that we as humans have. There's not a whole lot of that. So again, if you like something, try to think about other people, including the people you disagree with, because, well, if you keep going your way, you'll just empower them to eventually come in and push their way on you, because, well, you kind of did the same to them. Like, I'm not a big genius person in any way, and I'm not trying to say deep stuff, but I kind of urge you to bear in mind this concept. There's a scale. When one side is overweight, the other side goes up. It's inevitable. It doesn't care what you think. It's like gravity, except some wanker already invented that. So I'm inventing this. That guy. I'm sorry, but I'm claiming it for Ireland, okay? Hell, we don't have much, okay? It's a thing to bear in mind, like whatever you're doing and whatever you're feeling, the world around you, if you're worried about something and everyone else is, it'll probably eventually sort itself out. This is not an excuse to do nothing. Hell, do more. We need more stuff done. But it's a thing you can rely on. If things are too bad one way, they'll probably eventually fix the other way. There's all sorts of stuff. They should fix a lot faster, but due to the aforementioned complete and utter indifference, our politicians have gotten used to a life where they don't have to do anything. So nobody does anything. And nobody has the balls to actually do anything brave that needs done, because, well, that's scary and it might damage their political record. Tell me if it ain't true. It is. Don't tell me anything. Allow me this moment to be right for once. You know, it all makes sense when you just look at it. It's just the way it is. And I'm not painting this in a one political way or another. But again, if you want the things you care about to thrive, if you want your views to thrive, understand that. Bear it in mind. Not bears. They got written out of the story earlier. The other kind of bear. No. There's 3 kinds of bear. There's bears with fluff, bears with no clothes, and bears with... Bear with me. Are they spelled different? Crap. There's so much wisdom in my videos that you learn things without meaning to. I'm like a gift that keeps on giving, or like radiation poisoning. Oh, well, we can't all be pretty and useful. I don't really know how to round this up. I think I'll get better at these things, I promise. Maybe. Well, I promise I'll try, but I maybe will or won't. That's still up in the air. But I feel like we're all seeing these things, and a lot of people will probably just blow this off, but I don't know. I'm just telling you. One day you'll realize for yourselves, and one day you'll realize you can use it to actually achieve the things you care about, or to keep things in moderation. But until then, well, continue killing each other. It's not fine by me, but hell, I tried. All right, be nice to each other, seriously, and bear this highly skeptical crap in mind. I promise it's a reality, whether you like it or not. Take care of yourselves, and try not to look at the world a bit at the moment. It's kind of gribbly. It's normally that way, but it's especially gribbly right now, because everything's gone a bit to the absolute fucking limit of the extremes, and then a bit beyond that, and then a bit beyond that, and then we added some sort of mutant extension to that too, and then it set on fire. It's not really very good. We'll get through it though, because everyone wants to. It's the way it goes. Thank goodness for the scales of humanity.